Hello, hello, hello. Hey, you all. How are you all? Happy New Year. I don't know about you, but I am so excited about the new year and what the new year will bring. Aren't you? And if you aren't, you should be. I'm telling you, it's like getting a new start. It's like adding a new chapter to your life. It's like just being renewed, refreshed, just revive. Let's just get ourselves in a groove here and a grind. And so not forgetting about the past, but just appreciating the past for what it was. We went through it. It made us stronger for it. And if we made it out on the other side, I don't know about you, but I call it a blessing. And so today is the first Monday of the year. I don't know about you, but I just feel like I'm so grateful for what have happened. Um, that I made it through. I had COVID and I made it through over on this side, and I'm just thankful to God that I did. And that tells me that there is so much more for me to do. And I want to share that with you, that if you made it through that, you're stronger for it, like I said earlier, and you have made it through and you can start anew. And you should be, if you didn't get it last year, if any other time, you should get it now, that this is your time, that you have had some time to think about the whole year, what you've been through, how it is that now that you appreciate the time that you have still here on earth, and that you should say, okay, if you're not serious about fulfilling your dreams and your goals, that now is the time. And if you didn't that year, I don't know if you will ever, because that one was that this going through this COVID pandemic is like, it's an eye opener. It's awakening. It makes you think. It should have made you think about your life and what you wanted out of it. And made you rethink about, hey, have I been playing with my life? Have I been doing what I'm supposed to do? Should I be regrouping? Am I really living my fullest and best life? Because I shouldn't take it for granted. We don't know what else is there for us if we're going to make it through. If I were going to live another day, I don't know about you, but me having COVID, I was down for 2.5 months. And so just with that, you just have to, consider all that happened. And I don't know about you, I feel like you should have inwardly took inventory, right? For everything that you have went through in your life, like if I've done it, I've laxed in any way, if I've lapsed and I'm not fulfilled everything I'm supposed to do, I should be really ready now. Right? With COVID and everything going on, you should be ready now in 2021. With everything that we've done, now is the time for you to say, I'm ready, and there's no more playing around. So with that being said, I'm going to bring in the renowned Reggi Sturns-Kemp. She's a sister of mine, and I'm going to find her here. I just saw her on my feed. There she is. Let's see. I think I got her. I think I got her. There she is.
Hello, hello,
Hey, you never disappoint with those glasses. I love it.
girlfriend. Now, you know it's all about the frames, okay?
It sure is.
Look, COVID might be here, but fashion never goes out of style, right?
Never. It never goes away.
Never.
If nothing else, everybody's been shopping a lot more since COVID, right?
I know. So I heard the introduction, and like a true businesswoman, even though you were challenged with COVID, you kept it moving.
Yeah.
You really did. I mean, you said 2 months. I didn't notice 2 months.
Yeah, thank you. It was a place where I wasn't quite wanting to share it with everyone. I wanted to, just take in my own inventory of my life and what I was going through, and just kind of just get through it, because it was something like anyone else I've never been through that. So I wanted to really, not really, I appreciate everyone called, the ones who did know, but I didn't want to be really like bombarded with phone calls and things like that. I really wanted to just be here with family, work on myself, and healing the healthy part and the mental part through going throughout that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
I get
Well, anyway, thank you, Reggie Sturns-Kemp, for being with us today. And I want to formally introduce you. Reggie is here. She's joining with us with this new year and the newest start of the year. And I think it's no time than better for to open with you here today. So thank you for being here today.
it.
So I'm going to say, Reggie, I'm going to introduce just a little bit about you, and then you can ad lib if there's anything that I missed. But Reggie Sturns-Kemp brings her organizational skills, design flair, and technological advancement to the world of construction. She offers more than 20 years of expertise in creating streamlined processes to help builders, homeowners, and realtors with their new residential and estate construction projects. Reggie brings a unique perspective to the construction industry because of her business background. She understands the importance of being detailed and process oriented. Those two quality control attributes are needed to achieve the desired outcome on new residential construction or design builds. Reggie is a fourth generation entrepreneur, and she is passionate about residential construction consulting. She holds a bachelor degree in business management from Clark Atlanta University, Atlanta, Georgia, woohoo, and a bachelor's degree in interior architecture design from the University of Oklahoma, College of Architecture, Norman, Oklahoma. While studying architectural design, Reggie was selected to study abroad at the University of Birmingham, College of Architecture, Birmingham, England. Gosh, I mean, yeah, look at this. You got a lot of stuff going on. Forbes magazine, Enterprising Women magazine, Fort Worth Business Press, Small Business Administration. I'm telling you, it goes on. So thank you so much, Reggie, for coming in today. And we want to talk. We want to talk some good stuff.
Let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
So is there anything else that, I know you like me, an entrepreneur. And so you've done more than this in this time, but you have a plethora of education here. But was it always where, can you hear me,
I
Reggie?
can. I'm sorry about that. Go right ahead.
Oh, but okay, great. So was it always where you knew exactly what you wanted to do?
So no, so my first degree was in business. And so my family, I come from a family that has owned companies throughout their life, throughout the years. And so when I first went to college, I went on their dime, right? So I
Mhm.
basically needed to major in business because they had a business. I was hoping to help them with the business. So I had really no say so on what I wanted to major in, right? And I don't think I even knew my purpose then, if that makes sense, right? So I majored in business, and then 10 years later, probably 5 years in, I knew that what I was doing still wasn't me. And
Mhm.
I started understanding. I always knew that I liked fashion, but I didn't understand that I had a flair or knack for architectural design, any of that. And then 10 years after I graduated the first time, I retired from FAA and went back to school full time and got my design degree. At that time, they didn't have a master's program, but I didn't care. I was in Norman. They had a really good college of architecture, and I just did. So hence I have 2 degrees. But what that allowed me to do is, a lot of creative people are very right brain. They're not left brain, right brain. So, they may be real
Mhm.
creative, but they lack a lot of other things. So I feel like I'm a pretty good balance between both.
Awesome. I know that's important to state. I'm so glad you said that because it's not always when you're going into entrepreneurship, you know exactly, or into life. Let me say that when you go into life as we reach, we graduate from high school, you don't always know exactly what it is that you want to do. You kind of try, you might try this, you might try this, and that doesn't work. And then there are those who may do it because mom and dad said that you have to go to college and we want you to be a doctor or a lawyer, and you feel that pressure.
Right.
If those of you who are listening or watching us, you feel that pressure of saying, okay, let me go ahead and do it, but then you're miserable, even if you're making good money, because it's not your dream, it's theirs. Did you feel that pressure or?
Exactly what you said. Even I was already in my career. I didn't have to do anything else. And so when I made the decision to retire and go back to school full time, Do you know what that does to your budget, your livelihood? That changes,
Mhm.
that changes the whole dynamic. So I knew going in that when I graduated, I could not take on a what do you call those jobs when you first out of college, an entry level position. That couldn't be me, right? Because I had already had, accumulated a certain amount of whatever. And so before I graduated, I had already started the company and I didn't quite know what I was going to do with it. So when I graduated, I purposed to go to work for 3 different companies. And each company, I went there on a mission to learn what I needed to learn, to identify the need in the market, and then to create a niche. And that's exactly what I did. So
Yeah, and that's important. You created a niche that was unique to where you still get to do what you love to do, right?
right.
But it's a niche that is where it feels like it's a demand where it's not that many out there doing it, and that people need you
There was
in this process more than anything. So tell me a little bit more about, in just a little more detail about what you do to make it all come together in construction.
So when you talk about a need in the industry, there was a gaping hole. A lot of times people want a custom home, not a semi-custom. They want a custom built home, but because there's so many details and there's so much that goes into it, and then there's time is a factor. So oftentimes I got so exhausted by watching these semi-custom builders indicate that they were custom, and then they give you 3 options for everything you choose, and it just wasn't right. And then for those people that were truly building customs, 2,000 square feet and above, 1.5 million above, they were building, but the builder, because he's a builder and possibly not an effective communicator, I would always see
Mhm.
these big fallouts, and not necessarily in the beginning, but maybe a fourth of the way through, and then by halfway through, it was just a very challenging process or build process to get through, or they'll fire the builder and go to another one. But really all it was is lack of communication and documentation. And then the other thing is that most often the homeowner would not be exposed to her options. So she gets almost done, and then she'll go visit a friend, and then she comes back and she says, you know what, oh my God, I didn't know this existed. They never really would show and introduce so that they can make an informed decision about what they wanted in their home. Now, of course, HGTV has brought a whole nother introduction into the industry, which can be good, and sometimes it's not so good, because now people think that it should be automatic. They also think that certain things should be cheaper than they really are. There is a cost to build. There is,
Mhm.
right? And it
Mhm.
goes back to that old adage. If I take my Pinto and get it washed, I could possibly get it washed for whatever, 12. But if I take my Escalade and they want to charge me 12, it's not going to be clean. And
Mm-mm.
the same with building. Different numbers, the same with building.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I've been a realtor for over 16 years, and I know all too well about this. And contractors who, they give you an allowance, and you might have. I've had some who give you an option, like you said, you have maybe to choose from maybe a few choices, let's say in cabinets, and this is that, and then you have that in this price range. If you want anything more than that, you have to pay the difference, right? Well, then you go there and you don't have anyone to bounce off of you or to tell you whether it's right or wrong, to match with, whether it's color, with tile, granite, flooring. You have all of these things that are take a place in it. And I have seen some houses that have been a hot mess because you're not a designer. That's not what you do. And you go in there and you're thinking that I can go in and just pick all these things. When they all comes together, it doesn't flow well. And so people don't realize how much they need you more than not. And I have to say this. I have seen it where people have been verged maybe on divorce or have gotten divorced because of trying to go through this process. He wants this, she wants that. No one is compromising on anything. And so, and I had friends who have told me they are not going to build together because it's not going to work. It's not going to work out well.
Right.
So that's why you're needed in this process, right?
Yeah. So now, what I will say is that the process can be overwhelming if there's not a process, right? If you're not working a system, a program, it is very, very, very overwhelming. And then no matter what, There is a budget. I don't care if you're building a $5 million house. There's a budget that you have line
Mhm.
items that you would like to stay in so that it becomes a realistic dream. You know what I'm saying? Even though it may be 5 million, there's still these line items that go along with the cost of that house. The same is true with 300,000, whatever the price point is. And so you would like to stay within that. And that is possible. However, you still want to make sure that you're choosing the best items from the amount of money that you need to stay within.
Right,
Critical.
right. And so it's possible. Well, what happens in the process when you all are doing, going through the house? I've noticed with some contractors that, they might get up to the point and say, okay, we're ready for those doors. Have you picked it out? And then you're rushing through the store and then you make the wrong mistake. I've seen that happen. Or, I need you to pick out the faucets and all that. And then they're rushing to the store. So do you give the client time, like to do all this ahead of time? So it's already kind of ready to give them what process, the time process that you be able to make sure they're comfortable with making it a smooth process.
So the benefit of working with me is that my best client gets me before they choose their builder and their land possibly, right? Because I
Mhm.
specialize in pre-construction consulting, right? So it is important that you have
Important.
everything decided upon before you break ground, because then when you have everything decided upon, so I have a 4-phase process, right? The first phase, we go through determining who you are in design, what it is that you really need in that house, how big the rooms need to be, the adjacencies and all of that. Then after we do that, we work on the floor plan. After we come up with a floor plan, then we send that over to the architect for him to draw the floor plan. Once the architect
Mhm.
is almost done, we take that floor plan and we can use that floor plan to identify the builder that's going to work best for us. Because he
Mm.
understands who you are, what you look like, what your exterior facade will look like, what your floor plan, what it is that you desire. Then once you decide on that builder, then that builder takes what we've done in the first 3 phases, and he takes that construction document and he bids from that. So we're not doing a
Mm.
whole lot of unnecessary changing from the point that he starts getting his numbers, and then they select, they select the builder. That's when we start selecting everything. And once we
Mm.
select everything, he's still in the beginning stages. So at no point in time are we running around doing nothing. My job is done, right?
Right.
The reason why I may have to go back is if they order something and it's not in, or discontinued or whatever, we may have to go revisit it. But I have taken my time and gone over with them every aspect of that house. These are the doors. This is the style you say you like. This is the door that normally comes with that. But these are some other options that would look good. And so every part of that selecting process, and that's done when we have the floor plan, not when he's started building. I take them through
Mhm.
that whole process before, because once those construction documents are done, they're building off of those construction documents. So if you run across a client and he feels like he always has to be on that job site, that means you got poor construction documents.
Mhm.
Because whatever industry you're in, if you have to sit somewhere and make sure somebody gets something done, something was not done right.
Right.
Does
Right.
that make sense?
That's poor. That's just poor business,
But it happens a lot in building,
It does.
because the builders say, "Oh, well, we don't have to put that." Yes, you need every note. You need every note in detail. It needs to be
Everything.
right. If you make a change, all those changes need to be made before those documents become official construction documents. If
They do.
if you don't, you're going to be over in every aspect of that bill. Sometimes homeowners will say, "Well, I don't want to be gouged, and I don't want all that." You have to decide. You have to decide. So you have to be able to make decisions. If you're very, very indecisive, then you may not be my client, because at some
That's
point
true.
in time we have to land on our option so that we can go forward, and we cannot make a lot of changes. Hence, that's why I try to make sure I'm exposing them, educating them on the front end, so we're making an educated decision on what's going to be best according to our design style, not my design style. their design
Right.
style. I don't.
So that, yeah, communication is just so important and to the T for everything. Are they able to see any type of 3D diagram or when you so you can see the style of the house, the inside?
The architect will do that. I,
Oh,
I would
got
just
it.
take them through everything, and then we pass everything over for the architect to do his drawings. Then he can pull them up in 3D. But before they, but when we do that, that allows the builder and the homeowner to see, yes, that is what I want. And then the builder then takes that information, their design packet, and he
Mhm.
and shop because the builder, he's only sending the information out to his subcontractors, right? He's not
Mhm.
doing the work.
Right.
So he has to
Right.
take the information that you've given him and then go get the bids for that. So, so there are two things that happen. If somebody wants to build custom, you're a realtor. How many times have people told you, well, I want to build, and then you take them around town for countless hours? Y'all haven't recorded a thing. What are you doing
Mm-mm.
for them? Like, so they have to understand that there is somebody there that can serve them better than just going to the realtor or going to 50 different builders model homes to determine. You have to have things recorded, because if you don't, then the conversation is over. They have 5 other clients and they forget everything you said.
They
So
do.
that's why my pre-construction process is really critical to any custom home build project.
You know, that's so right. It's important to be organized. And it's funny because there are quite a few contractors that are not organized. So you helping them to make sure that everything is there. You have everything in the contracts you need. You can say here, or no, we talked about this, or no, this was the timeline you said. Where are we now on it, right?
Right.
You know, and so what's going on with that. And that helps out with giving that sense of relief
Right.
for the client,
Right.
going through that.
So, look, when I first entered this market, it was, I don't know, from what is that, 2007? No, 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 no. 2000 until, no, 1999 to about 2007 or 8. And then the mortgage industry started going crazy. And so I kind of laid off and we built another business and did a lot of other things. But
Mhm.
one thing about, Akita, I'm getting older, right? I've been mature and I missed my thought.
You were saying one
Oh,
thing about
okay. Yeah.
after the
So
business.
one thing about entrepreneurship is that, and even purpose, you have to know your purpose. When I entered into the market, there's still not that many African American women. And it was predominantly male Anglo, builders. And
Hmm.
so they were not all that welcoming toward me. And it wouldn't be until we got halfway through that build project where they would really appreciate me and my services. And of course, once the project was done, they would bring people in there in droves because they got additional business off of the work
Right.
that was done. So, it's really important because it goes back to what you said. They weren't really documenting anything really. And so the builder didn't understand or appreciate me until midway, but the contractor did, because I would write
Hmm.
out scope of works and all they had to do is read. If they couldn't read, then there was the hence like the problem.
Right.
But I would
So
write
for
it down.
those who don't understand, explain to them what scope, because I know what scope of work is, but explain to them what scope is of
So,
work.
of course, when I entered into the industry at that time, I wasn't really, I had been in business before, but I didn't have the benefit of technology, right? So this time,
Hmm.
back into this space, I'm really maximizing technology. But at that time, clients would come to me, most of them by referral, and they would be halfway in, or at least have already selected their builder, already selected a plan, was frustrated because they weren't at that point where even though they selected the plan, there were so many changes that they wanted to make to the exterior. The interior was what they wanted, but the exterior facade wasn't. Just all these different
Hmm.
things. So we would have to sit down and go through that, and the builder he just never would record anything. But once we got into it, I would write out, once I understood the schedule, I would make sure I knew when that trade was about to start and the day that they were going to start. Because I didn't get the privilege of working with them prior, I would show up on that day. I would go over everything that should have been, on the plan, that may have been on the plan, may not have been written on the plan before they started. So I can make sure that yes, in fact, they had the right floor plan, one, They bid it, they understood. If there were any questions, we had those conversations right then. So once they started, no one had to be there monitoring them. Because the thing about it, most contractors, if the builder pulls them to the job, they are the craftsman for that job. The only time that
Mm-hmm.
mistakes are made is when something's not right on the floor plan, and it's not documented. So they may put something in wrong. But was it wrong, or did they just follow the plan? So there were all those type of things that happened. But I would have the scope of work written out. They would understand it. They would follow it, and so they got my service. They got me. I mean, we had a really good conversation. But oftentimes it's the builder that really had to
Mm-hmm.
understand what I brought to the table and not be intimidated by the fact that I was there. Because during that time, most of them had already had a line item. So, and another thing about my services can be put on their HUD. So as a design fee. And so they would,
Mm-hmm.
so it would be taken care of just like an architectural fee. So he would get upset and tell me, well, I've already charged them for that. Yeah, you have, but they're not pleased with what you're doing. So therefore, they're going to pay me for that. And so again, that's why it's really important to have all your design documents, and then you choose the builder. I can work with any builder. I don't mind that. But to me, once you have all your design portfolio for that particular home, then they're clear on what you want. You don't start and then they say, well, I don't really do that, or that's not really my style. I
Right.
don't know how to do, because they see it.
It makes so much more sense. And I remember having a client. So I had a lot for sale for a contractor, and we found a buyer for it. We went through the process, and they were of Asian descent, so they have different cultures. For this culture, they have two kitchens. They want one in the back of the house. It's in the garage, so they didn't really want the garage. They turned it into a kitchen that they cook in there, and then they had the kitchen in the main house. And so throughout the process, it was like, it was so challenging to get the contractor to give them everything they want and do it in a timely manner and do everything that's needed. And so the clients actually got mad at me,
Mm-hmm.
and they were upset at me because I was the listing agent for the property. But if there would have been someone like you to come in and say, here, let me present you with someone who's going to help you through this process, have everything done beforehand, and then present it to the builder, all then that I would be in there is just to make sure that he was doing things on schedule, because I wasn't going to get paid until it closed, right? And so with doing that, it was like my contractor was going out of town. He would leave for weeks at a time, and he wouldn't tell me what he was doing and where he was going. And then he would just pop back up. So when we got to the end of it, I kid you not, Reggie, I had to go through the house. And everywhere he made a mistake, I had a sticky in my hand and a marker. And I had to put the sticky on the wall, like, fix this, do this, paint this, fill this in. And that's important when you are picking your contractor, that you know his reputation, who he is, the reputation he had. And so with you coming in with that, you help with that process to make, for one, it easier, and for them to understand who they want to choose, and that they're going to be satisfied with the work that they're going to do, and that it complements the plan, the floor plan, and the design that they've chosen with you, right?
Right. It is truly construction consulting. I help facilitate what they need, right? So hence the reason, if the construction documents are done, then they take it and they're able to decide, do their due diligence on whether or not builder A, B, or C is perfect. I'm not leading them to a builder, right?
Right.
Giving them the tools needed.
So it's like an eye opener for them, though.
I absolutely facilitate and ensure that what is in them, I'm able to help bring it out of them and put it in a format, being the design book, and then the drawings, and they become architectural drawings. So that by the time they get to the builder, by the time they are ready to decide on the builder, they have every tool needed. So no one's guessing. There's nothing not recorded. There's, oh, I didn't understand that. No, it's clear.
Very clear.
Because it's all in my design packet. So, a couple of things. So I partner with builders, I partner with realtors, right? And I partner with lenders and
Mm-hmm.
4 different groups: builder, realtor, lenders. And the reason why lenders is because most lenders interact with the builders. They already know the challenges that the builders face. And the only reason why they face those challenges is because there's not a pre-construction consultant person to help them through the process.
Right. And they have process when you're going through a lender, you have draws. So they have to complete a certain amount of work before they get the next draw.
That's
And usually it's about 3 draws,
right.
right?
Right.
Mhm.
That's right. And so the lender understands what I bring to the table, right? Once
Mm-hmm.
clear on what service I offer, he understands that if they employ me, then it's going to make a difference in shortening the time it takes to build that project, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
whenever there's a delay, something that could have taken 2 years is now going to take 4 years. So when I tell you that
Mm-hmm.
this process saves time, it saves money, and it yields a quality project, right? Meaning that when you're finished, you don't always go somewhere and say, God, I didn't know that existed. Or you start the project and you're like, oh, I told you I wanted gas. There's so
Right.
many things that have to be determined before you even break ground that people don't really
Mm-hmm.
realize. They just think, oh, well, okay, I didn't get a chance to do it, so I'll have time to do it. No, you don't have time to do certain things later. There are certain things that need to be established way before.
Way ahead of time.
Right,
That's true.
right. And
That's
again,
so true.
that's why pre-construction consulting is so critical.
Right. I love it. I mean, this stuff excites me. And it's design is like you said, it's the artistic side. And I love, I'm like you, I love the artistic side. I can be creative about things and putting things together too and making it look like something that was from nothing. And I love that process.
Right,
So what made you feel like this was it? This is one thing, a niche that you love. Like, you said you love design.
right. Well, I think ultimately making sure that people got what they want. When you do a custom project, you're spending a lot of money. And when you finish, you really want it to be what you desire, right? And so I always think about my clients. When you build a custom, it's like a dream you have. And I want that
Mhm.
process to be just as enjoyable as the dream of dreaming of that
Yeah,
home.
hence my dream home.
Right.
That's the dream. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want
Uh-huh.
that I want it to be an experience. I want the process. I want people to understand that it is work. There's a lot of communicating, helping you see, understand. There's a lot of work because it's not my project. Because when it's all said
Mm.
and done, it doesn't look like what Reggie would want. It looks like you and what you would want, right?
Your
It's your
vision
vision.
for it. Yeah.
And I think that's one
Hmm.
thing that when someone is, and I hate to say educate because there's so many people out there that decorate, design, do so many different things, but I think one gift that I do have is that whoever you are, I can help that come out and it can be seen. Like I had one client, I took and I didn't get them at the beginning, I got them in the middle, but I just transformed that whole space. And so he was very kind of flashy or whatever. I don't know, maybe that's not the word, but I took his staircase and I put just a little strip of onyx along the staircase as it winded up and then lit it. I mean, just little, just little,
Yeah.
but again, that's what you could do when it's custom. You can't do that when it's semi-custom, right?
Right.
And it doesn't
Right.
matter, you could have a custom home that's small, just be very strategic about the design features and the simplicity, but it can be simple, but it can still be stately, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, like more personalized. Like
Yeah.
they get that little touch of me. Like even though you're picking out things that are yours, they're getting something unique,
Mhm.
a specialized just for them.
Yeah.
And that's what's important about having you to be able to help them with that process.
Right. So before I entered back into the market this time, before I did my relaunch, I did market research. And so I went to a couple of people that had built, and they did not have, of course, a pre-construction consultant. And so this one particular person, she just said that she was building, and in the middle of the build, she realized that she didn't want her laundry room on one side of the house and they had to move it to the other side. When she said that, I just thought, oh my God, like, telling me that, I was just like, the time, the energy, I'm sure she frustrated everybody on that job site because that was such a big change. But
Yeah.
but just the information that I retrieved from these market research, the input was just, it was just amazing. But again, those are my clients. Those are my
Yeah.
clients. And this one person said, uh, I would have, so my fee is so I have an hourly fee if you've already started the process. And or if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't started the process, it can be a flat fee. I base it on the square footage and I say flat fee within a certain amount of hours. Once you exceed a realistic amount of hours, which I'd have a realistic amount there, then it goes back into hourly. But when I told her that, what my fee was, and then she calculated up how much money she wasted just trying to figure it out, or making them wait until she came up with the right.
Yeah.
She felt confident in herself.
Yeah.
You're not going to waste any money. You're going to waste
Mm-hmm.
more time, and you're going to be emotionally disturbed because it can be a very stressful process if you don't have a method to follow.
Right, right. Which is something that contractors still don't have to give.
You know?
They don't have that to give them and say, here, take this. This is for you. And that's where you come in and help them. And I love that. So tell me, how would people, what's next for you and how can people get in touch with you?
So my website is Acclaim Design, and that's AC, not ACC, ACLAIM design.com. And I'll put that in the chat, or I'll do something.
Yeah, I'll put it in the
Okay.
feed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Acclaimdesign.com. And 3 times a year, I have a workshop, and I call it the DIY, Do It Yourself, but it's Building Made Easy. So my next workshop is coming up, I believe, February the 8th, and it's $79 per person to attend. However, if they're listening, if they're one of your listeners, and they indicate that they're a listener, and they go to my page and like the page and request a link, or just let me know that they're interested in the workshop, then they'll get 50% off, right? They can go directly to the website and sign up for the workshop. But if they want to get 50% off, if they like my Facebook page and then, send me a note, because I want to know who they are, then I'll give them 50% off. I'll send them a link to get 50% off. If they go through the
Oh,
website, they're not going to have a link, right?
oh, that's awesome. Give me the website again. I'm going to put it in this feed.
Okay, it's Acclaim Design. So it's ACLAIM Design, DESIGN.com. And so that workshop, if they feel like, they want to see what I do, or they feel like they won't be able to afford me for the whole thing, then they can come to the workshop, especially if they're in the process of building, because $79 to get you on track to build, it's worth it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely worth it. And this is a good time, everyone. I want people to understand, because the interest rate is still so low, that I don't see it going up. If it does go up, it won't go up that much, because we still are working through COVID, through the economy and things like that. And so if it goes up, it might be because we have, a new president that's to be in place, and it may go up a little bit as things get better. But as for now, it's such a good time especially it's the new year, it's just a great time to decide if you're going to build, to do it now. If you're going to invest, do it now, because you can help with investors too, when they are working on getting house built and want to make sure that everything is going to be right for the average buyer, right? Do you work with investors also?
So I work with investors and also builders. So previously, when I had builders as clients, if they were used to building a house for $400,000 or $500,000, or if they built a house and it sold for $400,000 or $500,000, after they worked for me, that house sold for $1,800,000 to them, because just the level of detail. I didn't spend any more money. I stayed within their line items. So, or if something was unrealistic, then we would ship. Some things I did for less, and then that gave me more money to put on something else. But for the most part, there was enough money allocated. They just didn't have the design eye, right? And so that made
Yeah.
that difference. So now another thing that I do is I told you I partner with builders, lenders, or whatever, but I love to do workshop with the lenders or realtors. So if in fact you wanted to provide a workshop for your clients or your prospective clients, and you wanted to bring your lender in, and we all, do a workshop together, I love to tell them how to prepare themselves to build, because they often don't know. And that equips the lender with the information that he needs to know, because the only thing he knows is, oh yeah, that builder's done a lot of houses. Well, yeah, he's done a lot of houses, but has he provided the right service to his clients? How long did it take you to close those projects that he did because of, this, that, or the other? So I love to do those, and I'm available to do them, especially with COVID. We could do it via
Zoom.
virtual.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
always very informative.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. I think that it's so informative, and I don't think even people think about the fact of bringing someone in like you to do this. And so you bring me being here to be able to help to bring that awareness to people. I love to do that because I mean, you want to get it right, and if you want to get it right, do it in the beginning before you start anything. And I've seen so many come into but with a contractor to build, and they have not a clue. They don't know, and they get overwhelmed. I've seen the overwhelming just take over to where now they can't even think straight, and so decisions are being made poorly or the wrong decision, and afterwards, after they want to change, it's just too late.
Yeah,
It's just too late.
it's too late, and then it becomes difficult for either side to work with each other, because they don't really know how to do it. And then there's all these arguments. It's just not a good experience to have. But another thing, if they follow me on Instagram and even Facebook, what I purpose to do is introduce them to certain design features or talk about design styles. So I'm not there for interior design. I'm there to help them understand what design is, and what may be available to them in the area of design. So
Yeah, so they can see what they like,
so
right?
they can see what they like. Even when they go to my
Yeah.
site, I don't have a whole lot of pictures of work that I've done. I have a section that emphasizes design features, because when we're working together, I need to understand what design features you want in your home, right?
Mm.
And once I understand what design, and once you understand the options or the availability for what you can have in your home, then we can better have a conversation. So that's why I have a whole little section on design features. So if it may look white, but if you put the little cursor over it, it'll show you the design feature. But on the outside, it'll tell you what I'm trying to show you. That's one thing. Then in the month of January, we're going to start Sip and See with Reggie, where we'll actually go to different manufacturers or on the job site to see certain projects. So that's Sip and See with Reggie. And right now it's just going to be like a little 15-minute sit down and chat. But I want them to understand who these people are that have the products that they need. I want them to understand the best way to utilize it. Because another thing about design features is that I see it, I may like it, but when it's installed and I start using it from day to day, I may not like it.
That's true. And there are a lot of new things coming up. Now before COVID, we had these conventions that we could go to, and you could see a lot of the design along with a lot of the new technology,
Right.
because now you can like technology the whole house. What do you call it? Smart home.
Yes.
And you could do, and then, even doing the smart home, I mean, even though it sounds like it's great, that's not for everyone. Not everyone's gonna like that.
Yeah, it's very intrusive. But there's so many things, but and details. But Sip and See will help them. And again, I'm only going to do that once a month initially, and maybe it'll lead to a podcast or wherever it'll lead to. I don't know. But I'm trying to do all that I can, just so they can be exposed to different things that. Because oftentimes they see certain things, but they don't really understand the mechanics of it, or they don't think about, okay, is that what is the pros to that? What are the cons to that? Is that something that I really need in my space? It's pretty, but do
Yeah.
I really need it in my space?
Right, right. Because just because you have it don't mean you really need it or you're gonna use it. I mean, I've had vehicles. I remember when I got a Cadillac Escalade, I literally never used hardly any of that. When I first saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta have this.
Right.
I need the ice chest. I need all this. When I promise you, I might have used it once or twice,
Right.
and it's not necessary.
Right.
If you don't need it, really, let's just use that space for something else.
Right. Right. Right.
You know?
So I just got a little ding, and I think someone's requested their 50% off. So yay.
All right.
They're about to bill. That's good. I'm excited for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
Well, go
the
ahead.
interesting thing, right before this phone call, I got a phone call, and it was a client that I helped before, a client who was actually a relative as well. And he was like, I just called to thank you again. And I was like, wow. And so I'm saying this to say he had wanted to build and was starting the process, but still there were just a couple of things that just weren't totally aligned. And so I got a chance to look at his floor plan, brought a couple of areas into alignment. After we did that, he was able to take it back to the architect and get the floor plan exactly the way it needed to be before he built. And, and he was just thanking me for that. Now, this job was done, I don't know how many years ago, but I still got a phone call today about that, And so that's such a huge
That's
thing.
what makes you feel like, yes, this is why I do what I do, right?
Right. Such a huge thing for me. Yeah.
Isn't it before we close, I have to say, I always I want to end with vision and purpose. It's such a good feeling for you to walk in what your purpose is and do it. And it gives such satisfaction, even though the process is sometimes it's not all the way where you want to be. Your clients, you may get stressed out. It may stress you out a little bit because you're working with them. It's not always going to be peaches and cream, let me say that. But I'm telling you, in the end, when you're doing what you really love to do, it doesn't feel like work, and you feel like, yes, this is why I do what I do. And I love transformation. So seeing things going from nothing, like seeing just dirt on the ground, so to speak, in contracting, to seeing it built up into something great and grand and really nice for this particular person, custom for them, in your case, and then saying, I took a part in helping them with this process. For me, if it was, it's all worth it, because, I flip houses. So when I see the house, there's nothing, and I've had people come in, I was like, this is a mess. I'm like, oh, I love it.
I know.
Like,
I know.
I'm like, I love it. I see all of this being this, whatever it is, I can see beyond the mess. The house can be a pile of mess, and I can see beyond that and see the bones in it and what it could be. And in the end, when I see the finished process, I'm like, this is why I do it, because I love it.
Yeah, it's nice to have things that live beyond you. But one thing, if you're asking me what I want to leave or do or impact, I want to revolutionize the industry, right? I don't want people to just come to me for the service. I want to make the service available to other designers and or builders, help them understand how to present it, how to teach it or instruct it or whatever, because not just people in my little area code need to have, access to this type of service. People all over the world need it, because people are building all over the world.
They're building all over. And it's so important to have that tool with them to be organized. So you help give them the tools. Is it, when you give the class, is it a packet that they can purchase, that they can use?
So when they have the class right now, they get a abbreviated packet. When I release the package to the builders and the designers, then they will be able to purchase the entire packet.
Got it.
But even though you'll have the entire packet, you're still going to want some direction in between. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I want to make sure I teach other designers or other builders, or even continue to do the workshops. Because even when you're doing DIY, do it yourself, right? Whatever, DIY. I always get those confused. You still need some guidance in the middle of the process. So, but at least they have more information than they'll ever have before. And when they go forth, they'll be able to feel confident in the things that they're doing.
Awesome.
And
awesome. This was good stuff.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. Thank you so much, Reggie, for joining me tonight on the first Monday of the year. Happy New Year. everybody.
Yes.
And so you all just, if you all want to know more information, go to Reggie's website at acclaimdesign.com and sign up for their classes.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see the actual once a month to go into it, because there's nothing like seeing you go into it and they get to see different things and say, oh yeah, because I'm so visual.
Yes.
So
And some of the things that
yeah.
I have in store for them are going to be so wonderful to see. I mean, just enlightening. No matter how big your house is or how small your house is, I'm going to try to make it where they understand that if, in fact, I want it, it may be smaller, but it'll still be impactful. So, yeah.
Awesome. And yes, Sophia, we will. I'm going to download it onto my feed, and I'm going to try my best to download it, to save it and send it to her so she can put it in her IG feed and on Facebook if she chooses. And you can put it on YouTube actually too. So if I'm hoping I can get it right, but I so far I haven't gotten it wrong. So I think I can remember to do it correctly.
And so,
All right, guys.
also, Lakita, I'm going to allow
Mhm.
that special to go for 1 week. So for 7 days.
Okay.
And
Okay, so from now to
next
Sunday or Monday.
next Monday.
Okay. All right, guys, y'all got some time, but if you don't want to wait to the end to jump on to this super deal, understand the process of home building and what's needed in it. Because sometimes you don't know what you know. And this is part is what, even when I talked to Reggie, because I've been knowing Reggie before she introduced with this part, the design part, and I was so intrigued by it. I never even thought about the fact of, is it necessary? Because usually you get like an interior designer or a designer, but being able to somebody to go through the whole process from the builder, because when you get a designer, they don't necessarily always help with the outer parts or the structure of the house or design of the actual bones of the house, but she'll help you to see more design of that too, as well as everything, placement of everything you want in the house too. And that's important.
It is
That's
important.
so important.
It is important. So I just got a message. So don't fill out the form on the website because I need to send you a link for the 50% off. So for that person, but I'll connect with them when I get off. But just FYI, I need to know who you are, but then I will personally send you a link for the 50% off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Reggi Sturns-Kemp, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. And then soon to come, her own eyeglass line.
Yes. Well, so
I love it.
right now I buy from I Do Eyewear. You need to have her on. You would love to meet her. She's another entrepreneur. I Do Eyewear.
Yes. Oh, awesome. I love that. I love that. All right, guys. Thank you so much again. Thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight and joining. I hope this was helpful. I know it was helpful for me, and I want you all to have a great and prosperous year.
Yes. Yes, yes.
I'm Lakita Brooks, the Motivational Maven. Y'all have a great night.
Bye, Lakita. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you again.